Namaste and welcome back, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this wonderful lecture by our dearest Komilla Ji, who is discussing Dhana wealth yogas of Parashara. And there she is.
There I am, yes.
So we have about an hour and 25 minutes. So in an hour, I'll see if there are any questions and check in with you. But other than that, I'll just dip out for a second. I'll be here if you need me.
Okay, great. Written which emphasizes the Dhana yogas. So for those, he has emphasized the role of the 5th and 11th house, Lagna, 9th lord, connections between Kendra and Trikona, Vargas and Vishika amshas. So some of these aspects also, you see the earlier yogas, they are easy even as a beginner astrologer, you can understand them. But here Sage Parashar has really honed into what to study. And so for yogas to fructify, Lagna Lord, Sun, Moon should be strong, or we can be actively working to strengthen them by Vedic remedies. Because you see, the whole point of having a yoga is that you do something good with it. So if you have a strong yogas, you use your privilege to create something good. And so Sage Parashar has focused on particular combinations in Brihad Parashar Hora Shastra. So I have tried to bring you some of the charts here, and but it's not always that I have all the charts for the combinations he has given. And sometimes I've taken artistic license to, or we say Jyotish license to show you some combinations. So while most Dhana yogas like Lakshmi yoga is considered 9th house and its lord, plus Venus in strength, 5th and 11th are added keys to understand wealth. And so 5th house, why 5th house is important? Because 5th house is the house of Purva Punya, the past life good deeds. It should be important in promoting wealth, ease of life. And it is 9th from 9th, so shows Bhagya, luck, and Dharma too. 11th house is the house of profit, Labha, and it's also the house of elder brother. And in the traditional families, elder brother had all the wealth, you know. And if you look at the British royal family and you see that King Charles, who was Prince Charles, he was the eldest, so he inherited all the wealth of his mother. And now in King Charles's, his eldest brother, his eldest son is Prince William. And so it was always in the hand of the eldest brother, not sister even, who controlled the money. So I think that is subtext to this that you can think. Whereas in modern terms, that is not relevant in today's terms. 11th house is just to be taken as house of profit. So the key rule of this yoga is when the lords are in their own sign in the 5th and 11th house. Therefore, 5th and 11th lords in dignity and mutual aspect. So when the lords are in their own sign in 5th and 11th, it is very hard to find this exact yoga. We could also study the conjunction, mutual aspect, Graha and Rashi Drishti. So this is where I said I took a little bit of Jyotish license and to see. And also, you know, when you know that certain people are very wealthy, then that combination, that 5th and 11th Lord combination is working in a different way there. And Venus and Mars, if Venus is in its own sign in the 5th, Mars is in the 11th, this is only possible for Gemini and Capricorn Lagna. Gemini, Libra, 5th Lord, Aries, 11th, Capricorn, Taurus, 5th Lord, Scorpio, 11th house. And you see now for Capricorn, Scorpio would also be Badhaka, but Sage has not taken that into account at all. So he's only taken these two lordships if there's a combination. And here we get the other Tesla, Elon Musk. Now, I don't have his time of birth. I've used a sunrise chart. He has Venus, Mars in dignity. He's Gemini sun. He has yoga by Lal Kitab too. Venus, Saturn together as natural 2nd and 11th Lord give great wealth too. And here we see Elon Musk's chart, and see he's born on 28th June 1971 and Pretoria in South Africa, but we don't know his time of birth, so I put him in sunrise chart. So you see the sun is right rising and Mercury is in the Lagna, so that from sunrise is a Bhadra Mahapurusha Yoga. It's interesting, if you look at Nikola Tesla's chart, he also has the Mercury in Gemini, but he had Jupiter in Pisces as well. But here what we see is that 5th Lord, nothing is there. 11th Lord, nothing is there. But 11th Lord, Mars is exalted. So that is one aspect with Rahu. So what does Rahu do? He exaggerates everything and over the top. And 5th Lord, Mercury is in Taurus. Now, here the knowledge of Rashi Drishti is important. And the Rashi Drishti rules are that mutable signs aspect each other and fixed signs aspect cardinal signs except the sign next to it, and cardinal signs aspect the fixed sign. So here we see in Elon Musk's chart, Venus and Mars, they are in Rashi Drishti to each other. Venus in Taurus, 5th Lord, Mars in 11th Lord in Rashi Drishti, both are in dignity. And generally, I find that in a person's chart, when they have 2 or more planets in dignity, that is also a yoga. Now, there's another yoga that is given by Lal Kitab. Lal Kitab is a red book, and a lot of astrologers in India follow the rules of Lal Kitab. I don't know a lot. I'm no expert on Lal Kitab, but one of my colleagues, and he had lectured at my conferences, he talked about this, that any combination in the chart, and this is something you should keep an eye out for wealth. If there's a combination of Venus and Saturn together, doesn't matter what house it is, just the fact that they are together gives wealth yoga. And here we can't say what house this Venus Saturn is because we are only looking at it from Surya. We are not looking at it. We could look from the moon as well. It's 10th house from the moon. But if you take Aries as the first house, the second house, natural house, is Taurus, and the 11th house, natural, is Saturn. So Venus, Saturn as 2nd and 11th Lord, if they are together, that's a signature for wealth. You can check it out, and here we see that Elon Musk has that. Then the second one is Leo and Scorpio Lagna, Jupiter in 5th, Sagittarius, Pisces, Mercury, Gemini, Virgo. Jupiter own sign in 5th, and 11th, this would be only for Leo and Scorpio Lagna. And here we have the chart of Bob Geldof, founded supergroup charity band-aid for famine in Ethiopia in 1984, and then raised billions. So he didn't actually, he was quite wealthy, but it was then he got involved with Live 8, now advises Bono on one campaign. He was knighted in 1986, many honors. And so you see that Bob Geldof, in his chart, he has the proper yoga here. Quite rare. And also you see Bob Geldof, 5 October 52, 1420, Dublin. I mean, for a particular generation, he was a huge icon because he did the impossible. He had these charitable concerts with the top people in USA and UK, and everything else is now a copy. And here we see from in his chart that the fifth lord is in the fifth house, and the 11th lord Mercury is in the 11th house. So he has this Dhana yoga, and the capacity to raise billions at that time and to do that. So he did not raise it for himself. Maybe he benefited a little bit. I'm sure he's not poor. But the point what I'm saying is that sometimes that money can be used for the good of something else. And another factor here for Bob Geldof is that his moon Lagna, also 5th and 11th lords, are in their own sign. And Mercury is with Saturn, and it is in a planetary war. So there is some minus there. But he used to be very fierce as well. He was when he was raising the money, he was very fierce as well. Then Mars in the 5th in Aries, Scorpio, Venus in 11th in Libra, Taurus. This can happen to Cancer, Sagittarius, Lagna. Mars is on in the 5th, Venus is on in the 11th. And here we have the chart of Emperor Naruhito of Japan. And he again doesn't have a pure conjunction. He has a conjunction rather than in the houses. And here what we see is that Emperor Naruhito, 5th lord is Mars, 11th lord is Venus, and he has the Mars-Venus combination. In a Kendra, Mars is exalted, but they're not in those two houses. And of course, Emperor Naruhito would have been born to wealth. And, he is the king of Japan, but the king of Japan with a lot of wealth. Another yoga you can see in his chart is he has the Lagna Adi yoga. I talked about the Lagna Adi yoga earlier. Jupiter in the 6th house, Venus in the 7th, and Mercury in the 8th house. And he has a very unusual yoga here. He has the benefics in 6th, 7th, and 8th, and the malefics in 6th, 7th, and 8th. So he what we would call, he has a Shubha Adi yoga and a Papa Adi yoga as well. Adi means number 1 yoga. And then he has that Venus-Mars combination, which is the combination of his 5th and 11th lord. And 5th lord is exalted. So in essence, the Purva Punya lord is very strong here. And we can see that, the 5th and 11th lord combination. Then 5th house for Pisces, Lagna, moon in 5th and Saturn in the 11th house. Moon in own 5th, Saturn in the 11th. So this is Rihanna, who has a combination of it, Moon, Saturn, and Rashi Drishti. You see, Rashi Drishti is quite an important Drishti to know, because Rashi Drishti is permanent, and these are houses aspecting each other, both, but not in dignity. Significance is there. Malavya Mahapurusha Yoga, Mars Saturn in the second and 11th Lord with Rashi Drishti, with 5th Lord Moon as well. So there is all sorts of yogas Rihanna has. Of course, when you look at her chart, the first yoga that stands out for you is Venus, which is a Malavya Mahapurusha yoga from the Lagna, from the moon. And this is 5th Lord is moon, and it's in the Lagna, so it's bringing blessings here. And 11th Lord is Saturn, and Moon Saturn are in Rashi Drishti. Mutable signs aspect each other. You see, if you looked at the Graha Drishti of Shani, Shani's third aspect is not aspecting for her. But the Rashi Drishti, they are both aspecting each other. And Venus is involved. And again, that rule I was telling you about Lal Kitab, you see that Venus, Mars, Saturn, as the natural 2nd and 11th Lord are in Rashi Drishti. And this Mars-Saturn combination, which is can be frustrating and irritating, but 10th house, so she's very focused. She's a businesswoman. She's a billionaires. And Mars-Saturn, Mars rules the 2nd house, Saturn rules the 11th house, and they are in Rashi Drishti with the Malavya Mahapurusha Yoga, 5th Lord. So you see all this money that has come to her, the signature is there. You need to be able to look for it. Then extreme wealth comes with Taurus and Aquarius Lagna. Here, Mercury in 5th own sign, Moon, Mars, Jupiter in the 11th. So this is the rule according to Sage Parashara. I'm giving you all the rules here. Taurus, Moon is 3rd Lord, Jupiter's 11th house, Upachaya Lordships. Mars in the 12th and 7th Lordships to do with relationship and partnerships. But I don't think I have a chart. Aquarius, Moon is 6th Lord, Mars is 3rd and 10th, Jupiter's 11th Lord. So Jupiter's also 2nd Lordship. So what Sage Parashar is doing here is that he's telling you that the Upachaya Lordships, 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 11th, if they have a combination together, then it gives extreme wealth. And here, the extreme wealth is that Mercury in the 5th, Moon, Mars, and Jupiter in the 11th. And for Taurus as well, they have to be connected to these 5th and 11th houses, even though they are not ruling those. And especially Aquarius is very interesting because Aquarius seems to be very otherworldly, spiritual, but sometimes you'll find Aquarius Lagnas with lot of wealth and lot of money, even though they're personally not, that's not their motivation. They're always looking for environment and making the world a better place. So then another rule is that you get Sun in Leo for the 5th house. Sun is in its own sign in the 5th house, Saturn, Moon, Jupiter in the 11th. So for Aries Lagna, Sun in the 5th house would be possible. Saturn is 10th and 11th. So the rule is this first part is the rule. Sun in the own sign in the 5th house, Saturn, Moon, Jupiter in the 11th. And this is only possible for Aries Lagna because Sun rules the 5th house. Saturn is 10th and 11th, both Upachaya, Moon, 4th Lord, and would be, and it'll be full moon because it's in the 11th house. So you have 4th and 5th Lord. It's a Raja Yoga combination. And Jupiter is 9th and 12th Lord. Now, I do know somebody personally who has Aries Lagna with Sun in the 5th house. She doesn't have the other combinations, but she is very wealthy. because the sun, fifth lord in the own house, but she doesn't have, let's say, extreme wealth. Then planets in Lagna and wealth, Mars in Aries or Scorpio Lagna, with Mercury, Venus, Saturn in the Lagna or aspected by them. So Sage has given very particular rules, so he has not said anything goes. There's a particular rule. And if you have Mars, firstly, you have to have Aries or Scorpio Lagna with Mars in it. Mars also is Karaka for property and, commander-in-chief. So one can do very well with it. Now, I have a student of mine who has, you can see here, Mars in its own sign in the Lagna, Venus, Mercury are there, and Saturn in the fourth house aspected there. And from a very young age, he has developed, and in many ways, the pursuit of wealth has become important. He started off as a spiritual person, but the pursuit of wealth became important. But I feel that he will be very wealthy because he has the two Mahapurusha yogas, but also the rule here. Mercury is 11th Lord, Venus is 7th Lord, Saturn, Mahapurusha yoga again. He's still young. This is in his, I think, 30s. So maybe the possibility is there. Then planets in Lagna and wealth, Taurus, Venus in Taurus, Libra, Lagna, Malavya, Mahapurusha yoga, with Saturn and Mercury in Lagna or aspected by them. So this is Zidane, excuse my pronunciation. He's very famous French footballer, you could say soccer star. And here we see that, he was very, I think he was ahead of the captain of the French team as well, and he very successful. And what you see in his chart is the one thing now, since I listened to the lecture on Lal Kitab, I always see Saturn-Venus combination for wealth. And there he has it in his Lagna. He has Saturn in Taurus and Venus in Libra. So the rule is Saturn, Mercury in Lagna aspected by them. Now, Mercury is not in the Lagna, but Mercury is aspecting the Lagna by Rashi Drishti. So I would say that you need to hone up on your Rashi Drishtis. The cardinal signs aspect the fixed signs, mutable signs aspect each other. And so cardinal signs, so like Mercury will not aspect Leo because it's the sign next to it, but will aspect Taurus and Aquarius and Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. So here we see that this rule is there. And again, you see the starting point of Siddha. He started at very maybe a deprived background, immigrant background, and from Marseille, but he became like an icon, and maybe he's still an icon. I remember when I lived in UK, he was the kind of the football soccer star. And then for Gemini, Virgo Lagna, Mercury in Gemini or Virgo Lagna, Bhadra Mahapurusha with Saturn, Jupiter in Lagna or aspected by them. So here, and then Cancer, Moon in Cancer Lagna, Jupiter, Mercury in Lagna or aspected by them. I don't think I have charts. Leo in Lagna, Jupiter, Mars in Lagna or aspected by them. So these are peculiar combinations. And what I find in the yogas is that I read these yogas and suddenly I'll come across a chart that is totally having this yoga, and you wonder, then it reminds you that, okay, let me look at the Dhana yogas. I think Sun in Leo with Jupiter, Mars is easy, because for Leo, the fifth lord is Jupiter and Mars is Raja Yoga Karaka. So Leo Lagna, if they have a good Jupiter Mars, they can be very wealthy. Sagittarius, Pisces, Jupiter and Sagittarius, Pisces Lagna, which will be a Hamsa Mahapurusha Yoga. Mercury, Mars in the Lagna or aspected by it. Here, Mercury rules the 5th and 7th house, and Mars rules the 2nd and 9th house. So any combination there would also create wealth. And then Capricorn, Aquarius, Saturn in Capricorn, Aquarius Lagna, Mars, Jupiter in Lagna or aspected by them. And here we have Barack Obama's chart, and you can see Saturn in Lagna, Saturn, Jupiter in Lagna. So firstly, Saturn, Jupiter together can happen only once in 20 years. But here, Barack Obama born 60. But this rule doesn't require Jupiter to be conjoined with Saturn. That is just an additional aspect. But in Barack Obama's chart, Mars has a Rashi Drishti on Capricorn, but Mars from a fixed sign to a cardinal sign, from a Sthira Rashi to a Chara Rashi. Mars has an aspect. And so sometimes, you don't need to look at all these different yogas, because you've already seen he has got so many yogas that is there. So what Sage is saying is that 5th and 9th lords, because they are the good luck lords, they in conjunction have capacity to give wealth, but during their dasha period. So if your 5th and 9th lords are combined, or maybe they are in Rashi Drishti as well, or Graha Drishti. So here we have Bill Gates. He has this combination. 9th lord is Saturn, 5th lord is Venus. He has a combination of them. So he has the good luck. You see, good luck factor, Purva Punya means past life help is important. So then the last part of this, I'm just looking at the time. The last part of this Sage Parashara yogas are Kendra, Trikona, Lords, and Varga. And this is where quite a bit of advanced knowledge is necessary. And you can also, I've written a book on Vargas. So if you are interested, you could get that. So in this, Sage has talked about Visheshika Amsha. I love Visheshika Amsha. Visheshika Amsha means special combinations. This is an additional Raja Yoga in itself. So if they are in Visheshika Amsha, Kendra and Trikona lords. Parashara only focuses on Dasha Varga and how they perform in 10 Vargas. The criteria is own sign, exalted, or Mool Trikona. So here we see that Vimshopak, which is the overall combination, it's one of the ways to calculate the strength of the planet. So there are many ways to calculate the strength of the planets, and Vimshopak is one of them. It represents the relative strength or weakness of every planet in each Varga, and maximum strength a planet can get is 20, and the weakness is 0. And then Sage has given power of these planets. So these planets will have Ati Purna, which means Purna means full, extremely strong. If a planet gets 17.5 to 20, Purna strong, 15 to 17.5. Ati Madhya, medium to strong, 1250 to 15. Madhya means medium, 10 to 1250, Swalpa, average 750 to 10, Ati Swalpa, below average 5 to 7.5, Heen, weak 2.5 to 5, and Ati Heen, very weak 0 to 2.5. So basically, think about these planetary strengths as like a energy that the planet has. So when a planet has the capacity to deliver, and he is in Visheshika Amsha, then it is very, ability to give you a lot. And what Sage has said is that Kendra and Trikona lords should be in Visheshika Amsha, but they should also have a reasonably strong Vimshopak power, because you see, the capacity for something, it's like if you think about a car, if you're going in a Formula One car, it has energy to go 0 to 250 in a few seconds. Whereas if you have like a old jalopy, it just chugs along. So similarly, if planet is in Heen or Ati Swalpa, it's not really has the capacity. But normally, if a planet is in many signs, it is in Vimshopak, you will see that. So planets in various Varga groups achieve distinction by being special in their optimum positions more than once. Exaltation on sign Multrikona, weakness of planet is not taken into account, although in Phal Deepika, it talks about the weakness of planets. But the Visheshika Amsha, this is a very important consideration, almost like a Raja Yoga. Or not almost, it is a Raja Yoga, which has not been given enough prominence to it. So what the sage is looking at is Dasha Varga. So the 10 Vargas, Rashi, Hora, Drakana, Saptamsha, Navamsha, Dashamsha, Dwadashamsha, Shodashamsha, Trimshamsha, and Shashtyamsha. The softwares will make a group. Sage Parashara pays much importance to this Varga group. Now, I look at all the 16 Vargas, but as we are talking, what Sage has given us the rules, then we are looking at that. So, these are the names of the Visheshikas. If twice a planet has got exalted on sign Multrikona, it's Parijata. 3 times Uttamamsha, 4 times Gopuramsha, 5 times Simhamsha, 6 times Parvatamsha, 7 times Devaloka Amsha, 8 times Brahmaloka Amsha, 9 times Iravatamsha, 10 times Sri Dhama Amsha. Generally, rule of thumb is that 2 to 4 or 5, 6 is also okay. These last 7 to 10, very rare to get that combination. But you will get it and you will see that. So again, the rule here is that if the Kendra and Trikona lords are in Visheshika, either one or both, then this gives tremendous success and wealth. Lagna is both Kendra and Trikona. The strength of Vimshopak decides the power of the Visheshika. That means a planet which has power of 17 in Gopura Amsha has obviously more ability to deliver than if it has the power of 12 and in Gopura Amsha. So the Kendra and Trikona lords, these are also connected to, sorry, I'm just removing this, yeah. So it's also connected to goddess Lakshmi and Vishnu. So if Kendra Trikona lords are connected by conjunction, mutual aspect, Graha, Rashi, Parivartana Yoga, then real power comes to play and gives great wealth. Kendra are Vishnu sthana, Trikona are Lakshmi sthana. Relationship gives them Raja Yoga. Lagna is both Kendra and Trikona. I already gave you the list of these Visheshikas, but the name Parijata Amsha makes you a king. Uttam Amsha, king endowed with elephants and horses. You could say a billionaire with lots of cars and private jets. Gopur Amsha, tiger of kings honored by other kings. Simhamsha, emperor ruling states around him in all four directions. Parvatamsha, born a Manu or a progenitor. The Parvat is a mountain, very powerful personality. Deva Loka Amsha. Deva Loka is God's heaven, Deva is God and Loka is their home. So you are living in exalted space. Brahma Lokamsha, like an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, who are Vishwapalaka, feeders of the world. Iravatamsha, Amsha Swambhu Manu, Sri Dhama, not mentioned by the sage, but it gives immense success. So basically 7 to 10, very rare to find those combinations in it. So here we have President Barack Obama, Lagna Saturn, 4 Gopur Amsha, Tiger of Kings, honored by others. 9th Lord Mercury, 3 Uttam Amsha, king endowed with elephants and horses. I put fabulous transport. Mercury and Saturn are aspecting each other in opposition. So you see that the Kendra and Lagna Lord, so along with all the other aspects. So here we see that this is Barack Obama's chart. So Lagna and Mercury, 9th Lord, are in opposition to each other. So they are in mutual aspect, and you can look at their strength. And here we see the list of these aspects. So in Barack Obama's case, the most amazing thing is that Saturn has 16 out of 20. So in my quick calculation, that's 80% strength of the planet. Very powerful. And these are the lists of the auspicious divisions. And Saturn gets 4 times auspicious. His Venus, Sun don't have any auspiciousness. And that is Gopura. Gopura is these, as you enter a temple, they have these huge, like gates, very high up. And Gopura is like that. So person ability to be extremely successful. And here we see, I just want to show you how in the software you can get it. Michael Douglas, he has Venus in its own sign, and Venus is Mahapurusha Yoga. His 9th Lord is Mercury. It's in Leo, and it's and Mercury is aspecting the Lagna by Rashi Drishti. His Kendra Lord, you could take, Moon is not aspecting the Lagna, but Saturn could be another planet. So what I've got here, I have made, this is Sri Jyoti Star, and I think you already heard Andrew speak. So this is the Vimshopa graph. And here you have all the lists of the planets and different combinations, Dashavarga, Shatvarga, Saptavarga, Dashavarga, and Shodashavarga. That means 6 Vargas combination, 7, 10, and 60. I use 10, but here let's look at the strength of Michael Douglas. Venus has got the strength of 16 or 2. So that is Lagna Lord. Again, Michael Douglas, super successful actor. He has been successful for years and years. And what you can see is this is the list of his Vargas. Venus is in Multrikona, then on sign, on sign, on sign, on sign, on sign, on sign. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 time zone sign, but it may not be in all the Vargas that is looked at in the Dasha Varga. So that itself, and I think Michael Douglas is very wealthy, very respected as well. And Mercury here, not so strong. Mercury has only 2 special Vargas. And then I have a page, I'm just going to look at it. So this is my Visheshika Amsha page that I have created. And here we can see all the Vimshopak. Now this is in a graph form. So you can see the strongest is Venus, which is his Lagna Lord. Mercury, not very strong, rounded out to 10, but it is Bhedaka Amsha. This is 16 divisions. Now, you can change the divisions to 6, 7, and 10. Now, in the 10 divisions, this ninth Lord has got no Visheshika. Again, here, these are Shodasha Varga, and we can do to Sapta Dasha Varga because Sage Parashara has mentioned Dasha Varga. So Venus also here, let's go here. So in Dasha Varga, Venus is in Simhasana Amsha. And Simhasana means sitting on the throne, on the crown. And certainly Michael Douglas has been super successful and wealthy, and that Lagna Lord in Simhasana Amsha. But the ninth Lord, Mercury, doesn't have any Visheshika. So, there's only that much. But for him, his 11th Lord is, fifth Lord is Saturn, but Saturn is not aspecting Mercury. But Saturn is aspecting Moon, and you can see Moon is Parijata, and Saturn also does not have Visheshika. So it's not like a full Visheshika. So in the software, you have to find the table of the Vimshopak and then the Visheshika. And I love looking at Visheshika, and it is very important as an additional tool to see additional yogas. And Sage Parashar has given those. And so here now let's look at Bill Gates, Kendra Trikona Lords, Lagna Lord Mercury, in 2 Parijata Amsha, King, 5th Lord Venus, 3 Uttama, King endowed with elephants and horses, and 9th Lord Saturn, King, and 5th and 9th Lord conjoin in the 5th. So he has the Kendra Trikona Lords together. And again, what you see for him, the auspicious divisions are 10, and he has Mercury in Parijata, Venus, Saturn in Uttama and Parijata. Interesting, Jupiter, Mars, and Sun don't have Visheshika. You see, sometimes you don't have Visheshika, but here again, look at the power of Venus by 16 points. So that is super powerful. And Mercury 13 and Saturn 14. So these are out of 20. So these are pretty supercharged planets for him. And these are the ones that are not only supercharged, but in the Visheshika Amsha. And then finally, we have Emperor Narahito and of Japan, and Lagna, Moon, Parijata, Amsha, King. Well, he's naturally a king, not 5th Lord Mars, Parijata, Amsha, King, 9th Lord Jupiter, Uttama, King, endowed with elephants. And so again, you look at the chart. You see, the chart itself is not giving you information about Visheshika. So for Visheshika, you do need to have this, or you can have the Visheshika table as well. And again, look at him, look at the strength of his Mercury, 16 points. But Mercury is not a Kendra lord for him. His Kendra lords, Mars, Moon, Venus, Saturn. So we can see Saturn is the weakest. Venus, Saturn have got no Visheshika. So one could infer in the sense that as a king of Japan, there's limited power. These days, kings and queens is only in name only. They're not like absolute rulers. The power lies in the politicians. But for Cancer Lagna, Mars is the best planet. And Mars is a Raja Yoga Karaka, 10th Lord and 5th Lord. And here we can see that Mars is in Uttama Amsha with the power of 15. So that means that is and you can see that it's also exalted here. Pranarahita of Japan. So again, I like to look at what is happening in the Vimshopak. You can see the detail here. You can see Mars exalted, 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 exalted. So Mars is very powerful here. And in the Dasha Varga, and but Venus doesn't get the power. Venus and Saturn. Saturn, he is exalted, but not in the Dasha Varga. He has got in Vimshamsha and Navamsha. So just one exaltation when you look at the Vargas. And here we have the Vargas here. And you see the whole list of the auspicious divisions. So the Visheshika Amshas, and you can play around with it. So 10, all his planets are in Visheshika, in 16, and in the 16 Vargas, but Sage doesn't give 16. So for the purpose of this talk, we are looking at 16. Looking at 10. Because in most of the divisions, they talk about 10. And so that is it for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Komilla ji. It was a very enlightening presentation, and I thank you for your steadfastness and endurance while you're in India to be an inspiration to me and to maintain your concentration in the wee hours of the morning. So thank you.
That's right. Thank you very much. It's a more, the Dhana yoga is more like to understand these yogas exist. And I think it's quite clear what I presented, and there's no questions. Anybody has any questions? I think there was a question by Julie, and I did answer it. And this was, if 5th and 9th Lord are conjunction, and miss the rest of the statement. If 5th and 9th are in conjunction in Kendra or Trikona houses, they bring wealth, because they are the 2 lucky houses, but you don't want them in the Dushtana houses. Even though if they are there, they may bring some wealth, but those are a little bit of blocked energies in the Dushtanas.
And everyone else seems to just be complimenting and grateful for your delightful presentation.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. And I look forward to conference number 3 my job is done now. So
Yes.
I will be thinking of you, Kasanati, every day, 16, 17-hour day.
Thank you. You have inspired me to be strong. So I'm going to follow your leadership, and I will continue to do my best.
But I
So
can
just
say that you have some fabulous topics this time. And really good. When I was looking at the whole thing, so interesting and advanced and beginners and everything. I think really good combination.
thank you. That means so much to me.